Off top, which quarterback had the highest off-target percentage last week and which had the lowest, according to True Media? Play music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. We're going to preview the games as we always do with the great Mina Kimes, who I think we've closed on in our Survivor League.
Yeah.
My buddy Charlie Kravitz is here as usual. Who's got the answer? Who's got a good guess?
Highest off-target rate and lowest?
Last week.
Yeah.
I remember the games.
Just in last
week's
games.
Let me pull up the games because this is not cheating. I'm just looking at the games because I literally do not remember who played.
All right. I mean, we would never accuse you of cheating.
I have a guess for the person who's had like the stats that showed the highest off target rate. It would be Caleb, but I don't know if Brosmer beat him.
Was it Lamar?
Nope. Well, Caleb, it was Lamar. Lamar's 30% off target. Caleb was second with 27%, and the lowest.
We guessed that one too. Let me guess.
Lowest two.
Jordan Love. Jordan Love's my guess.
Looking at all the games.
Okay,
One second.
Jordan Love. I don't know.
Yeah, but he's Toyota-thon Jordan Love.
He attacks downfield a lot though.
In the Toyota-thon.
You stop doing that Toyota thought. I don't like that. It doesn't
Bryce
make
Young?
any sense. It confuses me. It feels like. Nope, it was Geno Smith. And Tyler Shutt was number 2. Geno 0% off target. Tyler 2.9%.
We're
turns out it was Chip Kelly all
trying to
along.
make Shuck Boys happen for those who are joining me on Tyler Shuck Island.
Down.
Shuck Boys. You want to be a Shuck Boy?
Mina.
Shuck Boy Island.
Yeah, absolutely. Mina.
No, I mean, Charlie just wants to be a part of something. He hasn't watched any Tyler.
No.
I don't care.
Disagree.
All right.
Mina interviewed. I watched Mina interview Tyler Shuck in the offseason.
We loved him.
He was a delight.
We loved him.
Okay, so that's where. Oh, it's not because he's good. It's
Very,
because you
very
like him.
polite young
Okay.
man.
No, and he has been like shockingly
Yeah.
good.
He's been decent.
Yeah, he was good.
There-
Daniel Jones, 4% off target.
We can talk about that game. That's a big
We'll
game.
get there. Okay, so yes. So we have a bunch of big games to talk about. We're going to talk about the 5 biggest games of the week, but also, Mina, we are now tied in Survivor.
Yeah.
Because you got another 2-loss penalty for Thanksgiving week. I actually texted options to see if you wanted to be on the preview show for this exact reason, and the response was, I'm too busy. So because you viewed us as little people, you get another 2 losses. And we are tied.
On Thanksgiving week?
You're
penalizing me for not paying attention on Thanksgiving week. That is fine. You know what? Whatever.
That's right.
Bring it. Let's go. I care.
You're probably going to win anyway.
I don't know. We're tied now.
Oh.
It's starting from 0. It's now a 5-game season. Okay, so we do have some really good games to get to, and I personally sort of tiered these games amongst the big games plus the games for first place by the ones I'm most excited and most interested in watching. And as sort of the watchabilities are, I'm starting with Sunday night. So it's Texans-Chiefs Sunday night. And I'm going to hit you with a hacky sports media question, and we can get into all of the analysis of this. But the Chiefs are going to be without Josh Simmons, who is going to head IR after his wrist surgery, potentially without Juwan Taylor and Trey Smith. And they're going against the Texans defense, which is ferocious, terrifying, whatever adjective you want for them. Chiefs' backs are against the wall.
Yeah.
The Texans have become a trendy team that people think win the AFC South, potentially one of the best teams in the conference. Do you think Patrick Mahomes will find a way to pull a rabbit out of his hat and win this type of game?
I mean, that's the way you phrase that question is puts
So
it on
hacky.
like, do you believe Patrick Mahomes can do something great? Of course I do. Do I believe he will? Of course I don't. It's not even that their O-line is injured. It's that defensive line or defensive front makes everybody look like their O-line is injured. And I don't know. Mahomes hasn't had the answers. The conversation that Mina and I have had all season about how much we love this Texan defense, and the things about the Texas defense is there doesn't really feel like a great strategy out there to attack them. And if there was one, it would probably involve big chunks because you're you're not going to be able to dink and dunk your way down the field without eventually making a mistake or someone breaking you. But the problem with that is you're going to need to protect, and the Chiefs are not going to be able to protect to make those big chunks. So I expect the Chiefs a lot of fourth down aggressiveness, trick plays.
Yeah.
They're pulling everything out of the hat this game to be able to score some points. Their only way of winning, obviously, I think, is keeping the game close because the Texans' offense
Mahomes scrambling is the thing that's for two reasons. It's one of the very few things you can do against this Texans defense, and Mahomes back against the wall games is always good for a decent amount of quarterback runs. I think for me, it's a challenge. It's an uphill battle. Even, their offensive line is a big part of that. But I think part of the reason why I'm picking Houston here is just the other side of the ball. Chiefs can't get pressure, right? And what we've seen this year is when C.J. Stroud has any amount of time, he looks great. And this Texans passing attack is starting to figure stuff out. So if the Texans, you talked about them being a hot team, if they're going up against a team, it doesn't have to be the Texans. Any team that can get pressure, I think, can keep this close. But I question whether or not the Chiefs defense can sort of hold up their end of the bargain, even if the Chiefs offense makes a few great plays.
A lot of pressure on Chris Jones because Mina and I have talked about this earlier, how, and I think Charlie gave some good stats on this too, about how the Chiefs blitzing is no longer the recipe. They once were really great at it, and we gave Spags a lot of credit. That's not working anymore. So is Chris Jones going to be able to get to the quarterback and give Stroud a hard time or not? Like I don't see that as viable strategy for the entire game, and I think C.J. Stroud's been playing well since he's come back from the injury. The offensive line, Mina tried to convince me that now they have a good offensive line, which is crazy talk. Ooh.
It's not good.
Do you want the...
Oh, yeah, I know. I was expecting you to react and be upset that I gaslit you, but you just ignored it.
Well, do you want... before they might be decent this week because Mina pointed this out on their podcast. Here are the exact numbers you're talking about. I can't take credit for that. Chiefs blitz 2022 through 2024 versus their numbers in 2025. Yards per play. They went from 1st to 31st. Success rate, they went from 3rd to 26th. Pressure rate, they went from 2nd to 28th. So even if the Texans offensive line is not good now, they might perform better against the defense that we think is like it was for the last 3 years, but is vastly different this year. You can't like that. I'm trying.
You did a great job. It's a great stat. Mina had a great stat, and I'm glad that we give proper attribution around here to people who do good research and analysis. I think that the Chiefs defense, the Chiefs transformation, like dynasty-wise, have transformed this offense, or this team, frankly, a bunch of different ways. To once being a defensive-centric team, at one point the offense was a big play-related offense. They are up against the wall now where they haven't quite made any full transition into something that you can completely trust. I think this game is going to be, they're going to treat this game, even though they aren't underdogs, I think they're going to treat this game like they're underdogs. And it's kind of a backs against the wall, throw everything, including the kitchen sinks, at this offense. But I expect, the thing that makes me nervous, I expect the Texans to win, but makes me nervous is I feel like lots of people expect the Texans to win, which is not really sound analysis, but the Chiefs do have them at home. They play better at home, as most teams do, but I don't know. I don't see how they score enough points to win this game.
I mean, you can always fade the public. I think that's a totally reasonable structure, and like the Texans have become a really trendy team because we all have eyes, and you watch that defense, and you're like, this is terrifying. So can I ask a big picture Mahomes question, not to get us away from this? But, okay, you're predicting the Texans to win this game. A lot of people are. The Chiefs have no margin for error. Are you going to have any change in like your long-term opinion of Patrick Mahomes if he misses the playoffs in his prime? No, I mean, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes.
Of course not.
I'm not saying like him not being one of the best quarterbacks in the world. I'm saying
the
about that, like he has been on a march to catch Tom Brady.
First of all, check the text. Second, I thought about this in like the context of the Brady conversation, right? So Brady, for people who have forgotten, had that whole long stretch of not winning the Super Bowl and then had that final run in his late 30s. So it's way too early to call it. I will say Brady didn't, again, if you're thinking about it from this point of view, didn't miss, I think the only year he missed the playoffs with New England was when he was hurt. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure about that. But I also think
Mm-hmm.
nobody is with a brain is gonna pin the Chiefs missing the playoffs this year on Mahomes. So it only matters if he doesn't get back and he doesn't he doesn't get a chance, another shot at the Super Bowl. And I think he will. I think he's fine. But yeah, I mean I think what sucks for him, if we're thinking about it from that perspective, AFC is so damn winnable. That's what sucks. It sucks to miss the playoffs any year, but this year, literally any team, but most of these teams could win. So I think for a Chiefs fan, that's got to be. It's all you got to do is get in, man. But he might not get in.
I imagine that he also probably, while no one would actually say this, I think the Chiefs could benefit from missing the playoffs 1 year. Just an emotional exhaustion is a thing that I think is has to be mounting with them. There are no weeks off. There's no easy games. Everyone is out there. You're playing in playoff games all the time. It seems to me and maybe I'm projecting on how I would feel that, gosh,
I think
gotta wear you out.
I think that's so interesting because I feel like there's no quarterback who has a higher mental load on them week to week than Mahomes, and it's obviously Reed's too.
Right.
You run out of ideas.
It's different
They've
if
been
you're
so
the quarterback,
creative,
though.
But also he's been dependent for the running game, whether it's RPO or his scrambles.
Right.
Even we talked about how you're going to need chunk plays. It feels like watching Mahomes. The chunk plays are not schemed in the way that we think of from a Lions offense or something like that. It feels like it's Mahomes makes some magic and go for the 60-yard play, not the 25-yard play that counts as an explosive. And so, I imagine the refresh. Look, we laugh about this because we think it's preposterous, but all of the greatest athletes ever, minus LeBron and Brady, have had mental breaks along the way, whether it's Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't want to get too far into this conversation, but I do think that the comparison to Brady stuff is going to be there. We're going to have to do it at some point in his career. We've already started to do it, but it feels weird to think about this as a potential demerit. I think if they miss the playoffs this year, then it just makes the next few years important for how we analyze him, but it's not going to change anything about the way we think. And I'm sure, all quarterbacks, I imagine I go back and look at. I mean, the start of Brady's career wasn't statistically all that impressive, and then he grew into the Brady that we remember now. But there'll be ebbs and flows, and the thing about Patrick Mahomes is there's nothing about his game when you watch it. You can see missed throws, but there's nothing about it that feels oh, this is over.
I think the bigger
okay,
question for
out
Kansas City is how do you get a pass rush? Because quietly, they have not drafted. And this is what happens when you draft at the end, right? Every year, but they just haven't found super impactful defensive linemen. And they've gotten a lot of really great value in the secondary outside of McDuffie, who they took early. But I think moving forward, they have to figure. And honestly, if you want to damn them for something, they should have traded for some. I know they tried, but that's why they're going to miss. If they miss the playoffs, it'll be because of that.
Yeah, I think this stuff's really interesting. It's we have mentally, and it's because the Chiefs reinvented themselves after the Tyreek trade. Just assume that they're on the Patriots track, and it's not so that they aren't. It's just that the NFL's really fickle, and if they don't get back, if Reed doesn't reinvest the team, or Reed and Veach and Mahomes or reinvent the team, we might have a very different view of the 7 years, which feels a lot more normal. Feels a lot more like the Cowboys dynasty or the second 49ers part than it does the Patriots in a couple of years. Just interesting. All right, next game on my watchability rankings, and you guys are gonna hate this one. Bengals-Bills.
Why would we hate that game?
It's not that one. It's just that there are other games the Bengals the Bengals are 4-8.
Yeah. I'm down for this game. I'm excited about it. The thing about this game.
Yeah, this is a big one.
What?
If the Bengals lose, then we're gonna stop talking about the Bengals.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think you were saying that because you know how I feel about the Bengals is that every year people try to convince us that the Bengals are something different than what they are. I don't think the Bengals have a realistic shot at making the playoffs. I understand that it's technically doable, but it's not because it's not doable. It's because I know what they're going to do, and it's going to be inconsistent because that's who they are. They're not going to be able to win 5 games in a row.
And they can win the division even with a loss.
Okay, they're going to lose multiple games. They're not going to make the playoffs.
And I'm just saying, if we go through the playoff scenarios, I don't want to read them too fast. So give me 1 second to go through this. Cincinnati loses to Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's easier if they win. Their playoff chances go up immensely. But even if they lose to Buffalo, it's if they beat the Ravens a second time, and then it gets a lot easier. It's Miami, Arizona, and Cleveland. They'd also need Baltimore to beat Pittsburgh twice, which seems reasonable because Pittsburgh is in a tailspin. They're 6-11 in the last 17 games. That has the Cincinnati loss, and then they would need to lose to Green Bay and New England, which
Baltimore.
also seems reasonable. Pittsburgh that's Baltimore. Yep. Pittsburgh has to have the 2 Baltimore losses, and then lose to Detroit, and they can still beat Miami and Cleveland. So it's like it seems far fetched because this team is 4-8, but there are scenarios that. Like if you just went by like the who would be favored every single game, if you went by that, they have a legitimate chance to make it very interesting. And they ran the table
Baltimore
last year.
Beats Pittsburgh twice, and the Bengals can lose a game. Really? Oh.
Yes, yeah, because they'll have beaten Baltimore twice, and Baltimore ends the season with also playing Green Bay and New England, which are perceived losses in the eyes of gamblers.
No, I didn't think it was. For some reason, I thought that that Baltimore had to lose one of those games. But you're right. I'm sure.
Well, it's conceivable. It's conceivable. It can happen. I just don't believe it. But I mean, let's focus on this specific game. The funny thing to me about this game is that we have 2 premier quarterbacks, and this game is about running the ball to me.
Yeah,
it's like
for sure.
Which both of these teams have rushing attacks, and both of these teams have porous rush defenses, which I guess I want to know which team is going to be able to hold up. And I guess the thing about there's a difference between the issues with both offenses because they both are capable of throwing the ball, but not as good as you would expect, especially for the Bills. And Joe Burrow has only been back for 1 game, and Higgins isn't out there, but he had Chase, and Burrow lit it up against the Ravens. So I don't know. I think this game is interesting because it is marquee quarterbacks, but I'm really interested in how both teams stand up.
The Bengals becoming like a really good run team has, I feel like, sort of slipped under the radar. It's something that was a failing on my part because I think, I saw Chase Brown was good last year and I still didn't really believe it. But even in Joe Burrow's absence, with defenses, not selling out to stop the run, but playing the run a little bit more aggressively, they were still able to run the ball. And I look at this Bills defense and we've seen them. They were much better. Domonique and I talked about this against Pittsburgh. In terms of stopping the run, Shaq Thompson was really good. They played a lot more base defense with 3 linebackers on the field. They ain't playing base defense against Cincinnati, though. So I struggled. I am not convinced that this Bills defense can stop Cincinnati, not just because of Burrow, but to Dominique's point, because of how balanced the offense is. Whereas the Bills offense is just much more one-dimensional. Now, they could still absolutely win this game because it's not like the Bengals defense is great shakes. Right? I mean, Bills games are always come down to can they stop the run?
Yeah.
If it's yes, you're in trouble. If it's no, you're probably going to look good. That's probably the case this week.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if we'll see Josh Allen more aggressively involved in the rushing attack, which I guess, they don't have to. They run to fine without him. But I just wonder with as we get closer to this time of the season where we get more and more active quarterback run games, obviously Joe Burrow is not going to be involved in the run game, even though he buys a lot of time with his feet and does some scrambling. He's not a design run type of guy. But I guess I'm trying to figure out
what big third down last week where he ran up the middle, where he evaded pressure and got the extra 4 yards up the middle.
The reason why I went that direction is just because I'm imagining what else in this game will matter if both the running attacks neutralize each other. They're both either effective or both ineffective. Then what is the thing that decides this game?
Well, I was actually thinking about that a little bit earlier, and I was thinking I'm assuming the Bills want to play keep away, type of the running attack to me feels more essential for them. But what I was wondering is, can the Bills defense have a game like they had against Kansas City earlier in the year, where the secondary we look up and it was Bishop and Hairston?
Well, I think that's why the run game is so important.
Better because that would be the type of thing
because Kansas City's not a good running team, right? And you're oh, okay, cool. If the Bills' defense is going up against someone who's not a good running team, and then they can play a bunch of man coverage and put lighter bodies on the field. The problem is the Bengals are actually a good run team now. So if they try to play that style, they'll punish them.
And they're gonna force them to put those, and they also may not be successful even if they don't run the ball against the Bills in those matchups. I don't know. And again, whether we get Higgins back or not matters, but there's not a person out there that matches up in man coverage with Chase. Yeah. So you're gonna do something to to be able to help out with Chase, which then you have a quarterback who, even if on the other side it's not Higgins, you have a quarterback who, if you're going to give him man coverage, or even if it's cover 3 or some sort of zone that they roll cover 6 or something and roll it towards Higgins to take, or roll it towards Chase to take him away. Like, I have no problem believing that Burrow's going to find a way to attack the other weaknesses in that coverage. So it doesn't feel great for the Bills if they can't run the ball and reduce this to like a 5-possession game each side.
Isn't that so funny? Like, you look at this on paper and you're like, this should be a shootout. The quarterbacks are going to go ballistic. And it's like, no, that's a dumb way to play. Don't fall into that trap. Bears Packers. This one's fun. This is potentially, I mean, Mina, this is the team that's the number 1 seed right now in the NFC, in the Bears. They've played all of these like incredibly close games, and their record might be slightly inflated by that. And then the Packers on the other side, they were the team that looked like the best team in the NFL. Then it looked like they had massive inconsistencies, and now we're back to this point where they're in that group of top teams in the NFC. And I'm just going to give you my gut first question I thought of this, Mina. Do you expect this to be a close game?
Yeah, I do. I think so, because I think that Chicago's run game is for real. And I think that as the Packers defense, it's funny because I was talking about this earlier today. They've been so good against the run against Detroit, and the Lions and Bears have a lot of similarities, unsurprisingly, obviously, Ben Johnson, in how the way they run the ball, right? The under center, condensed formations, the motion, outside zone. And so I would be a little bit concerned watching Green Bay and how well they've performed. But I also think, and this seems like crazy to say, even though Gibbs is a better back than the Bears' backs, the Bears' run game as a whole is better right now because of the dominance of the offensive line. So they're playing Green Bay. It's going to be snowy. It's going to be cold. I think that run game alone keeps it close because it allows Chicago to control the football. Now, that said, the passing attack, I like Green Bay there. So if they can just get them into passing downs, get Caleb Williams to hold on to the football, I think that's good. It works in their favor. And then on the other side, I think the Packers offense, the current iteration now with Christian Watson as a focal point, matches up really well with the Chicago defense that I'm not a big believer in. So I lean Green Bay here, but I do think it's close, Dominique, purely because of Chicago's run game and how good it is.
Yeah, I think you've managed to convince me. Before you started talking, I didn't think it was going to be very close, but I think I didn't take into account some of the weather factors that matter, and I might be over appreciating the Packers game against the Lions and how I was so impressed with the Packers' aggressiveness. I think like yards past the sticks, they did not give a damn how many yards they needed for first downs. Anytime they wanted to pass the ball, which like smart to do, is they did 6-man, sometimes 7-man protections and got down the field against the man coverage of the Lions. The Bears aren't going to give them as many of those opportunities. They're going to try to keep a lid on it a little bit more and put more pressure on their D-line to stop up front, which hurts the Packers because they aren't a great running team. But the way Jordan Love is playing right now, I think I had in my mind that he was going to eat him alive. But you're right. It could be a lot closer, especially because of the weather and them being outside in Lambeau and the Lions' just inability to like have a push on the interior of their offensive line, which is really the strength of what the Bears do. So this game will probably be closer, but I think ultimately we haven't seen, even though the Bears have been on this win streak, we haven't seen Caleb really play well, and that's when in doubt. It's a good place to go. If there's a draw at quarterback, we can look elsewhere to figure out what's going to decide this factor. I don't think there's a draw there. And the
Packers defense struggles with quarterbacks who play really fast. Dak Prescott is the example that comes to mind, right? And when you look at their splits, when quarterbacks throw the ball quickly, they're actually like near the bottom of the NFL. Caleb Williams is not throwing that ball quickly. Now, his numbers are he's the longest time to throw in the NFL. Some of that's skewed by extending plays for sure. But if there was ever a game for him to show that he's grown, he's going to be that, robotic, get the ball out quickly and accurately quarterback, this is it, because that's how you beat Green Bay. I'm just like, we haven't seen it consistently from him this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could control for like for distance of pass, but like Caleb Williams is the most off-target quarterback in the league. So like the strength of this Packers defense is their pass rush, and I get it. You want to be quick to get away from having to deal with that pass rush, but what you would be asking is for the most consistently inaccurate quarterback in the league to be accurate play after play, down after down, to get you all the way down the field. But I guess you have the running attack too, but it's just hard for me to imagine.
It's also worth noting that, and this is, he has an NFL low 58.1 completion percentage throwing into tight windows, which is, he's throwing into at the lowest rate in the NFL at 10.6%. So his accuracy is, if he gets
what
pressured,
defense in the NFL allows the highest completion percentage on throws over 15 yards? Chicago Bears, baby.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They get players back.
You brought.
Yeah.
We gotta get the computer guys sound. We got really into the stats there. People bubble.
Well, can I add a stat to Mina's stat that might make her stat stronger?
Only if we can add the computer guys sound.
Because Mina brought up Christian Watson, and he has sort of transformed their offense. His ADOT is 18.3.
It's the highest in the NFL since
which
he
is
came
insane.
Back, yeah.
But he's also, he is truly functioning as the number one receiver on third and fourth down plays. He has a 41% target share. So he's making them more
And what
aggressive.
jumped out to me, even though he wasn't like incredibly productive again, he had one big catch against Detroit. They used him at all three levels too. Like, yeah, they're stretching the field with him, but also in like those deep outs, right, to him feel like such a big part of their offense at this point. But the intermediate part, which was missing for much of the season with Jordan Love in his absence, and then they converted a couple short passes, short outs to him as well to move the change. So he's a big part of the Jordan Love-assance that we're seeing.
Yeah, Toyota-thon Jordan Love. I was Mina earlier this year before he'd come back and before he'd become like a 3-level receiver, I was calling Christian Watson Big Will Fuller, and now that just feels offensive because he does so much more. Let's go to the last two games that are for first place in both divisions. Steelers-Ravens. What interests you guys about this game?
Yeah.
It's Lamar. Like, is he going to go back to being Lamar at some point, or is this going to be kind of a whole injury-plagued lost season for Lamar?
Also,
and
like, after we just saw the Steelers just get just completely wrecked on the ground. Baltimore, can you emulate that? They have a different style of running game from Buffalo, but can you, whether it's some combination of Keaton Mitchell, Lamar, Derrick Henry, whatever, can you find a way to approximate that? Because we just saw, and also, Pittsburgh's going to come in so determined to prove that they're not horrendous against the run. There should be opportunities with play action pass, so I'd like to see that.
I mean, if Lamar can hit them accurately, like I mean, it's not that he can't. Like, he does still hit those passes, just not as consistently as we have come to expect.
That's the thing about the Ravens that make them so fascinating. Is the reason why you're losing right now is your best player. So at some point, if he if he flips the switch, great. But we just don't know if and when it's going to happen.
Not just your best player. It's been over the past, since he became a starter, one of the best players in football. So like one
of the best players in football history for the last 7 years.
They've improved their defense, as it seems to be like a Ravens tradition to start out the year with a bad defense and then move Kyle Hamilton and suddenly get better. That they've been consistent with that, but the offense is still like not quite what you expect with Lamar, and with Derrick Henry hasn't been the same version of himself that you expect. But yeah, the O-line, what the Bills did to the Steelers, it's going to be really hard for the Ravens to do that because they don't have the same personnel up front.
I was thinking about the Lamar, like his injuries affecting him in the passing game and his accuracy this year. And I was like, we've laughed at, and like some of the baseball injuries are ridiculous. Like you have like, Zemiah hurting his arm playing Guitar Hero. But then you hear about like random baseball injuries of pitchers where it's like mild oblique strain, guy out 4 to 6 weeks, or like adductor soreness, can't throw. And it's like, it kind of makes sense that a hamstring or knee injury could just affect actually how you.
It looks weird. I'm not a mechanics person, obviously, but like it doesn't look right when he throws. It's my technical observation.
Don't look right.
He's like guiding it or something.
Totally. And I mean, it's just like I think that stuff matters. We just think it's like it's arm injuries or shoulder injuries because of it. Yeah. All right. Colts-Jaguars. Last game for first place division, but I'm just gonna ask: does it feel like it's over for the Colts?
I actually think the Colts are gonna win this game, but I mean, it's a coin toss situation. I I don't know. I think I just don't trust. It feels like their offenses are based on different players, and I think that the Jonathan Taylor offense has not been consistent the last few weeks. But I have faith and belief that offense will show up in a different way. That the Trevor Lawrence focused offense has never really been consistent since he's been there. I'm more concerned about that showing up than I am about Jonathan Taylor. Of course, we have the injuries, but I was like, I guess my expectations were so low for the Colts versus the Texans, because I know how good the Texans are, and I know Daniel Jones was hurt and like not all that mobile, that I walked away from that game being like, oh, all right, Daniel completed some passes. I thought he was going to look like a mess, and he didn't look great. His athleticism hurts because that's the floor that it feels like every modern quarterback needs to have, is some athleticism. He didn't have that, but I think he's going to look a lot better against this Jags defense that like doesn't really get the
sometimes they do. I mean,
pressure,
this is I know
right?
who the Colts are. The Jags week to week, I just have no clue. Like Trevor was good last week. Your week before he was awful. The Jags pass rush looked awesome just last week. There's games where they don't get any pressure. So it's just like the Jags are so uneven. Josh Hines-Allen has been on an absolute tear as of late. And if that continues, then I think the Jags can win this, because I do think Daniel Jones, with his, especially with his athletic limitations, is having some struggles with pressure in a way he didn't earlier in the season. But I don't know. I cannot tell you. I cannot sit here and say, yes, the Jags are going to get pressure. Yeah. I don't know. It's different every week. The Colts really missed DeForest Buckner, man.
Yeah. I love DeForest Buckner. The Colts have one of those weird stats that I guess doesn't really tell you anything, but it's just like a weird stat where they like can't win in Jacksonville for whatever reason, and they go there and play every year. But yeah, I don't remember. Was it like 8 years?
Yeah, go to Florida teams. I'm convinced with this, whether it's Miami or
Do you know how long it has been?
I think it's been. I thought it was since 2014,
wow.
or maybe 2015. It's either
they haven't won in Jackson.
Yeah, where they haven't won down
there.
Let me double check this.
Which is like, I mean, you go back that far, like it has nothing to do with the personnel or the scheme or the players. Like we're talking about entirely different teams. Like we don't just know them. Like it's something about they go down there and that stinky swamp.
That's
2014.
Wild.
That's right. September 21st, 2014.
They go down to that stinky swamp and they get discombobulated. They just can't do it. I don't know. Yeah. So that makes you think that maybe the Colts just don't got it for down there. But yeah, this is a coin toss game. So I'm going to go with the team that I feel like I have a better understanding of, like the differential between how good or bad they can be. I think the Colts, it's like small. The Jags, it's wild fluctuation. So we'll see. I want to do, before we let you go, Mina, and shut it down, I know people, when they listen to this, they would have already seen the Cowboys-Lions game. But I want us to be able to say what we think happened and how it went, and they can test us, like, or they would have known how well we've done right now. Is that a fair way to end the show?
Tough way, because
Charlie's going to say
completely wrong.
Yeah. I mean, whatever.
Quick.
Say something. I think the team that's more physical is going to win.
I think
Can't go wrong
if the Lions find a way to run the ball on Dallas, and the Chiefs ran the ball decently well, then they can win this game, but only if Jahmyr Gibbs goes crazy.
Not saying what you think is gonna happen.
Well, I on my own pod, which people should go listen to, we have a preview out. I picked the Cowboys, so I am documented on picking them. For me, the Lions' injuries have just been really like sorry, and then maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown shocks the world and plays, but you're down him, Laporta, the offensive line is
all three tight ends.
They're just so banged up. That's why I had a hard time picking Detroit here.
I am a tiny bit intrigued by the concept of more Tesla. 6 catches this year, 3 touchdowns. And it's like, I just want to see what it looks like if he ends up getting a lot of routes along with J-Mo. Just a lot of speed on the field with him and Jamison Williams and Gibbs. And my prediction, Trustworthy George Pickens goes crazy again. Cowboys by 10. Cowboys by 10.
That nickname is not
Trustworthy George.
It's not gonna stick.
It's time to
I'm pulling up Survivor.
pick games this week. We are tied in the standings. I'll let you know if it's a team you've picked before or not. Mina, you
so
get
we're
to
tied
pick
because
first
I
this
forgot
week.
to pick last week, or I didn't. I ignored you. Okay,
Twice.
whatever.
No, not ignored. You
Call it what you want, man.
You made the decision.
Reasons or
consequences.
excuses. I don't
Did
give
I
a
write?
damn
Did
which
I
one they
really
are,
write?
we
I'm too
tied.
busy. That doesn't sound like me.
Yes.
It sounds just like you.
Hold on 1 second. All right.
He said, "I'm sorry, I can't this week. I'm too busy."
Okay.
So you got to
No,
see.
you were asking if I could tape on Tuesday. Not if what my picks. You could have just asked me independently of taping for my pick.
All right. Well, file a grievance. We can't debate
right,
it now.
it's fine.
File a grievance. We'll see how the
It's fine.
arbitrator
You know what?
feels about it.
That's part of
All
taping.
right. Have I picked the Browns? No, I'm sure I haven't. There's no way I've.
Ooh, Browns
no
over
way I
Titans.
picked the
You don't want
Browns.
to do that.
You
have I
not
picked the
Browns.
Broncos?
You have picked the Broncos.
And I've picked the Rams.
Rams.
You have not picked the Rams.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And have I picked the
week 2.
Eagles?
Sorry.
Last one,
You
I
have.
promise.
You have not picked the Eagles.
You know what? Screw it. Give me Shador. Give me the Browns. Give me Myles Garrett breaking the sack record.
Yes, that's what I was
Very
going to bring up.
invested.
The over-under for that game is 33.5. You can potentially get odds on him breaking the
He's
sack
definitely not
going to
do it this week, but I want him to get at least 2 this week. So this is like I'm so invested in this storyline.
Did you see the J.C. Latham tape last week? Mina, did you see the J.C. Latham? There is a legitimate chance he can do it this week.
And also Cam holds onto the ball. But yeah, I broke Bomani's brain this morning by showing him that huge Euro step that Myles Garrett did against Trent Williams, where he teleported. He teleported from one end of the line to the other. But yeah, all of us rooting for Myles Garrett to get that record as soon as possible. Who do we got? Do we got the Rams? Is that available for us?
That's not available for us.
Seahawks not available for us?
Not available for us.
Oh, we weren't very strategic in this one.
Nope.
We got the Eagles. We already picked them too.
We have not picked the Birds.
That's right. All right. What do you think? We got the Broncos.
We have not taken the Broncos either.
Oh, Broncos over Raiders, Eagles over Chargers. What do you like?
I like the Broncos better in that.
All right. I mean, you see anything else you want on there?
No,
you want to
it's
stick
yours.
with your Mandos?
That's it.
Over the Vikings? All right. Broncos over Raiders. Thank you, Mina. You're the best. Bye, Charlie.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.